All right, so it sounds like you've got that big accounts receivable interview coming up. Congrats.
Yeah.
I know you're probably juggling that excitement with a healthy dose of, oh my gosh, what if they ask me this?
Right.
Don't worry, we've all been there.
It's true. Those pre-interview jitters are totally normal, especially when it's a role you're really hoping to land.
Exactly. That's why we're diving into this Indeed article today. It's got 36 potential AR interview questions and answers, and it runs the gamut from, like, the basics all the way to those real brain ticklers.
I have to admit, some of these really threw me for a loop when I first skimmed them.
I get that. But the good news is even the most common questions can be opportunities to shine if you understand what the interviewer is really getting at.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. What are those seemingly simple questions that actually reveal a lot more than they appear to? Well, think about the classics, like, do you consider yourself a team player? Or why did you leave your last job? Everyone asks those, but they're not just about getting a yes or no answer or even a chronological rundown of your career history.
But it's not enough to just say, yep, I'm a team player, and hope for the best.
Not quite. Interviewers are using these questions to gauge your fit within the company culture. They're listening to how you communicate, how you describe your experiences, and whether any potential red flags pop up. It's about reading between the lines and understanding the subtext.
Ah, I see. It's like a subtle game of show, don't tell. So how do you make those basic answers stand out?
Let's take why did you leave your last job as an example. It's tempting to vent about a bad boss or a lack of opportunities, but that's not what interviewers are looking for.
Right, because bad-mouthing a previous employer probably won't score you any points.
Exactly. Instead, frame your answer in a way that showcases your growth mindset and what you're seeking in your next role. For instance, instead of saying, there was no room for growth, you could say, I'm eager to take on more responsibility and contribute to a company where I can continue developing my AR skills.
That's a great point. It's about highlighting your ambition and desire to learn, not dwelling on the negatives.
Exactly. And it subtly reassures them that you're not just looking for any job. You're looking for the right job where you can thrive and contribute.
Now, that's a pro tip I wish I had known for my early interviews. It's amazing how much strategy goes into even those seemingly simple questions.
Absolutely. Preparation is key. Now let's shift gears and talk about those experience-based questions where interviewers really delve into your AR skill set.
Ah, yes. The ones where they want to know about your experience with specific accounting software, how you handle journal entries, or if you can explain the purpose of a bank reconciliation. I bet these can be pretty intimidating for folks who haven't had a ton of hands-on experience yet.
They can be, but remember, even if you haven't encountered every single scenario they throw at you, the key is to demonstrate a solid understanding of the underlying principles.
So it's not just about reciting steps you've memorized, but showing you understand the why behind each process.
Exactly. Imagine they ask, why is a bank reconciliation performed? You could give the textbook answer about ensuring everything matches up, but that doesn't really showcase your depth of knowledge.
Right. So what would a more impressive answer sound like?
You'd want to go a step further and explain how bank reconciliations help identify discrepancies, prevent fraud, and ultimately ensure the accuracy of your financial records. Show them you're not just a button pusher. You understand the crucial role those tasks play in the bigger picture.
That makes so much sense. It's about connecting the dots and demonstrating that you're not just following instructions, but you're truly engaged with the work.
Exactly. It's that deeper level of understanding that really sets strong candidates apart.
Okay, we've covered the basics and those experience-based questions.
Right.
Now, thinking about those trickier questions where they really put you on the spot,
Mm.
what about the ones that feel more like problem-solving challenges?
Yeah.
Those always make me nervous.
I understand that feeling. Those in-depth questions can definitely raise the stakes. They're often designed to assess not only your technical knowledge, but also your soft skills, like your critical thinking and how you handle pressure.
I bet they throw in some curveballs to see if you can think on your feet.
Exactly. They might ask you about a time you had to handle a difficult collections situation, how you would define and measure success in achieving AR goals, or even dig into your experience with specific software like depreciation programs.
Oh, wow.
It's about going beyond the textbook and seeing how you apply your knowledge in real-world scenarios.
I remember one interview where they asked me about a time I had to deal with a really demanding client. I totally froze up. I could list all the steps in the collections process, but when it came to sharing a specific example, I drew a blank.
It happens. That's why it's so important to prepare for those behavioral questions beforehand. Thinking through those experiences in advance can help you stay calm and collected in the moment.
Is there a method or framework that can help with those kinds of questions? They always seem so open-ended.
Absolutely. The STAR method is a lifesaver in these situations. It stands for situation, task, action, and result. It helps you structure your response in a clear and compelling way that highlights your problem-solving abilities.
Okay, break that down for me. How would you use SCAR to answer that question about dealing with a difficult client?
So let's say the question is, tell me about a time in your previous experience where you overcame a challenge involving a client. You'd start by describing the situation, briefly set the scene, and explain the context of the challenge.
So something like, we had a long-standing client who consistently paid invoices late, and it was starting to significantly impact our cash flow.
Perfect. Then you'd move on to the task. What was your specific responsibility in this situation? Were you tasked with improving collections, strengthening the client relationship, or something else?
In this case, maybe my task was to come up with a strategy to bring the client's account current while maintaining a positive relationship.
Great. Now for the action. This is where you detail the steps you took to address the challenge. Did you implement a new payment plan, improve communication protocols, or negotiate new terms?
Hmm.
Be specific and showcase your proactive approach.
So I might explain how I researched the client's payment history, identified any recurring issues, and then reached out to them to discuss a mutually beneficial solution, like a revised payment schedule or a discount for early payments.
Exactly. And finally, you wrap up with the result. What was the outcome of your actions? Did the client's payment behavior improve? Did you strengthen the relationship? Quantify your success whenever possible.
I could say something like, by implementing a new payment plan and improving communication, we were able to bring the client's account current within 2 months and actually strengthened our relationship in the process.
That's a great example. You've clearly outlined the situation, your role, the actions you took, and the positive outcome. Using the STAR method not only helps you tell a compelling story, but also demonstrates your ability to think critically and solve problems effectively.
That's so helpful. I can see how having a framework like that would boost my confidence going into an interview. It takes the pressure off trying to come up with the perfect answer on the spot.
Absolutely. And remember, it's not about having faced that exact situation before. It's about showcasing your transferable skills and your ability to adapt to challenges.
So if they ask about a time I had to deal with, say, a complex software issue, even if I haven't used that exact program before, I can still draw on my experience troubleshooting other systems and demonstrate my problem-solving skills.
Exactly. It's about connecting the dots and emphasizing your ability to learn and adapt.
Speaking of adapting, the Indeed article we're diving into provides some sample answers for common AR interview questions. I'm curious to see how they hold up under scrutiny.
Okay.
What do you think?
Let's take a look. Which one caught your eye?
Okay, this one seems pretty straightforward, but I'm wondering if there's more to it than meets the eye. The question is, how do you minimize errors in your day-to-day work? And the sample answer is something like, I prioritize correctness over work speed. I triple check and compare everything before it leaves my workstation. What do you think? Is that a solid response or is it a bit too simplistic?
It's a good starting point, but I'd say there's room to expand on it. While it highlights attention to detail, which is crucial in AR, it might come across as a bit too focused on individual effort.
You're right. It makes them sound like a lone wolf, meticulously checking every detail in isolation. But in reality, AR often involves collaboration and teamwork.
Exactly. A more well-rounded response might acknowledge the importance of individual accuracy while also mentioning strategies for collaborative error prevention, like peer reviews or implementing quality control checks at various stages of a process.
So instead of just saying, I triple check everything, they could mention how they actively engage with their team to catch potential errors early on.
Precisely. It shows a more nuanced understanding of error prevention and a willingness to work collaboratively to ensure accuracy.
I can see how that subtle shift in language can paint a very different picture of a candidate's approach to work.
Absolutely. It's about demonstrating that you're not just focused on your own individual performance, but also on the overall success of the team and the accuracy of the company's financial records.
It's a great reminder that even seemingly simple questions can be opportunities to showcase a deeper understanding of the role and the importance of teamwork.
Now, there's another interesting question and sample answer in the article that I think is worth discussing. It touches on a common challenge in AR, staying motivated when tasks get repetitive.
Oh yeah, I can relate to that. Data entry, invoice processing.
Mm.
Those tasks can definitely feel monotonous after a while.
Yeah.
I've definitely had those days where I'm just staring at spreadsheets, wondering if there's more to life than reconciling accounts.
It's a valid feeling. The question is, this position's workload often becomes repetitive. How do you motivate yourself during the workday? And the sample answer provided is, I understand that this role involves repetitive tasks, and I've developed strategies to stay focused and productive. I like to vary the order in which I tackle my tasks, listen to music while I work, and take short breaks to clear my head. What are your thoughts on that approach?
It's honest and acknowledges the reality of the job, but also demonstrates a proactive approach to staying engaged. I like that they've identified specific tactics for breaking up the monotony. It shows they've put some thought into it.
Exactly. It's not about pretending that every task will be exciting. It's about demonstrating self-awareness and a willingness to find ways to stay motivated and productive, even when faced with routine work.
I found that having a clear sense of purpose also helps. Like when you understand how those seemingly repetitive tasks contribute to the bigger picture, it can make even the most mundane tasks feel more meaningful.
That's a great point. It ties back to what we discussed earlier about understanding the why behind the process. When you see how your work fits into the overall financial health of the company, it can be incredibly motivating.
Absolutely. It's the difference between just processing invoices and knowing that you're playing a crucial role in ensuring the company can pay its bills, invest in new projects, and ultimately thrive.
Exactly. Now let's recap what we've covered today. We've gone beyond just skimming through a list of potential interview questions. We've delved into the underlying intentions behind those questions, explored strategies for crafting compelling answers, and even dissected some sample responses to identify their strengths and weaknesses.
We've talked about the importance of showcasing your growth mindset, demonstrating your understanding of the why behind AR processes, and using the STAR method to structure your answers to those tricky behavioral questions. It's been a crash course in AR interview mastery.
And remember, practice is key. The more you familiarize yourself with these concepts and practice articulating your thoughts, the more confident and prepared you'll feel going into that interview.
It's like anything else. The more you practice, the more natural and polished you'll become. You wouldn't show up to a piano recital without practicing the pieces beforehand.
Exactly. And just like a musician rehearsing a piece, you can practice your interview responses out loud, refine your delivery, and anticipate potential follow-up questions.
As a final thought, I encourage you to take some time to reflect on your own unique experiences and identify those go-to stories that showcase your skills, your problem-solving abilities, and your passion for AR.
That's a great tip. Those personal anecdotes are what will truly set you apart from other candidates. It's about bringing your own personality and experience to the table.
Because ultimately, it's not about having the perfect answer. It's about showing them who you are as an AR professional and why you're the right fit for their team.
Remember, landing an interview is already an accomplishment in itself. Celebrate that win and go into that interview with confidence, knowing that you've done the work to prepare. We're rooting for you.
That's right. You got this. And until next time, keep diving deep and exploring the fascinating world of finance and accounting.